And hello, everybody out there. Welcome to Rick Snider's Washington on YouTube, where you get the whole story. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, even hit the thanks button. And that makes the algorithm happy while everybody logs in. So thank you all who are watching, especially on replay later on. As soon as the show's over, it goes to replay. So see who's first in, see if it's Steve. I know it's not Bob tonight. And if I look a little tired, well, night games, man, they suck. But I will say, last night's game, there you go, Steve, first inning. Congrats again. We'll see, last night's game was the best preseason game I ever saw. I have to say, as a John Kime, and he said he thought the same way. And then we both heard later on Troy Aikman said that on the air. So we weren't alone. It was 29-28. Joey Slide wins it in the last few seconds on a 49-yarder. It was just a great counterpunch. If people say, "Oh, preseason games don't mean anything," well, they meant something to the Ravens because they wanted to keep that 24-game winning streak alive. They liked having the NFL record. No, and there were a few times I thought, yeah, they pulled ahead, they're going to win this one, and Washington would counterpunch them, and then Baltimore would say, "Oh no, you're not," and they counterpunch again. They went at it, all the units down to the bitter end, man. Jake Fromm's throwing stuff, and the crowd. I mean, I was looking at the crowd when Sly hits that field goal. There was a maybe upper 30 some thousand there, probably 80-90% Commanders fans. It was a few Baltimore Ravens fans, but nothing substantial. And I'd say upper 30s, something like that. Which, by the way, they do something different now in the box score. If you can see this, it says, notice it says paid attendance instead of just attendance, which means they can claim they sold that many tickets. I can't dispute that. I can only tell you what I see in the stands. When 54,000 in the stands, but probably upper 30s, which was good for a Monday night. I wouldn't say it was bad. And I mean, there was probably a good 15,000 left at the end of the game. Hey, people got to go to work. It's Monday night, that kind of thing. But they act like they just won the Super Bowl or something. I mean, the crowd was jazzed. It was like the fun is back, in town. And you can just see the joy in Mudville kind of thing. So it's a pretty cool thing to be watching right now. And, Danny's finally gone. The reign of terror is over. People are happy, excited to come back. We'll see how many come to Cincinnati, which is a 6 p.m. start. Originally, it was going to be a 1, but they moved it to 6 a while ago, I hear. So I'll be there. It's a home game. I do make all home games. And then they have a break for a little while. Matthew has first question up. On a scale of 1 to 10, what's my concern with the O-line as a whole? 6. I mean, I'm not panicking yet, but 6. I'll say Nick Gates, baller. May not be the best center in the world, but a baller. And I'll take a baller most times, all things being equal. That dude's ready to fight, and he's ready to win. I like that about him. Sadiq Charles played, of course, had a penalty and things like that. I was like, I don't know. I'm not a big Sadiq Charles fan, partly because what's he ever done? Leno didn't play last night. Let's see. I thought Wiley was okay on the outside. I mean, they gave up 3 sacks, and then Cosme was, I guess, okay on the right guard. They gave up 3 sacks. 2 of them were on Sam Howell. He's got to learn not to do that kind of thing going into some of that. But that was a minor thing. If I had to give Sam Howell a grade, it would have been an A minus. The only thing he really did wrong was run into a couple sacks. So I don't think the O-line at this point now, you start getting some injuries, we'll see on there. I have no update on injuries. Ron did not talk to the media today on Tuesday. Never does after the game in preseason. They do at the regular season. So we didn't get any kind of updates. I understand that Terry's could be a turf toe thing. We'll see. And that did impact some of last night's game. They had, Chase Young had a stinger, and Jonathan Allen's dealing with plantar fasciitis, which anybody who's ever had that, it's a nasty thing. They don't want to have to deal with it for 17 weeks, so they shut him down some. So I guess they figured, with 2 of the 4 guys out, let's go ahead and just let the line itself have off. And most of the secondary was off. They did play the linebackers. They did play Emmanuel Forbes, Quan Martin, as we all saw, had a heck of a return on an interception. I think the young guys did well, and Baltimore too rested pretty much their defense, their starting quarterback. When they said Josh Johnson, I thought Josh Johnson, man, you gotta love this guy. He played for Washington a few years ago, got his first win and at FedEx. The dude's like in his late 30s now. Has been on, I've lost track, like 16 plus teams, and he's still around. And he looked good the other last night. It was against reserves, but it was like 10 to 12. I mean, he had a 33 yarder. He just threw a dart, and I just thought this guy's getting better. It's just wow. He's coming into his own as he approaches his 40s. How weird. I give that guy all the credit in the world for hanging in there for an NFL career. That refused to let the dream die. Good for him on that. I thought the running game looked okay with Brian Robinson. He averaged a little over 4 carry. I thought Gibson was doing what we think he'll do, which is playing space some, run a little bit, do a little bit of this and that. So I thought that was fun. Boy, Dotson, I think they targeted him like 5 times in one series. I'm like, what is this, the Jahan Dotson series? I mean, it's kind of weird, but he did a great job. Yami Brown managed to pull one in there. Cole Turner, you saw, it was 3rd and 16. He got a 17-yarder. Jared Patterson muscles his way in despite a face mask. This team's got grit. I give them that. I think the Tuesday practices against the Ravens, Tuesday and Wednesday last week, or Wednesday, Thursday, wherever it was, really got them going. I think it allowed the coaches to sit more of the starters because they'd seen some live action in the practices. My only concern is if they don't, and we don't know yet. Ron hasn't said anything about Saturday yet. Who's playing against the Bengals, but we expect that it won't be starters. That means that the starters, some of them, will have only played briefly in the first preseason game, and that'll be a month before the regular season game. That kind of scares me a little. All right, Darren, where do you get the energy to do everything you do? Yeah, I do a lot of things. Well, mostly it's hungry. I grew up kind of, needing, family wasn't the richest on the block, and if you wanted something, you had to go get it. My father would work 80, 100-hour weeks and unfortunately died young because of it. So maybe I got his DNA. I'm now in my 60s, and I am, as I laugh, I'm semi-retired. I work about 5, 6 days a week and only about 40 some hours a week, I think. To me, I used to work 80-hour weeks till I had a heart attack in my 40s and trimmed it back to about 50, 60, and now I'm down to about 40. So I don't know. I don't do drugs. I don't drink caffeine. I don't drink coffee or energy drinks or any of that because I had a heart attack 20 years ago. Hey, all right. So here's a funny story. Love heart attack funny stories. I recently saw my cardiologist. It's been 19 and a half years since I had a bypass. Any of you out there have had a heart bypass, you know how it is. You got that big thing in your chest. But I told her, I said, you guys told me that bypasses were good for 20 years. And that's about 6 months from now. So do I have something to be worried about? And my cardiologist didn't blink an eye, and she looks at me and goes, nah, we just say that. Because most guys that are getting these things are 60s, 70s, they're dead in 20 years. So she says, we don't know. As long as you take good care of yourself, you're fine. It's not a 20-year expiration date. Kind of felt better about that. So, I really don't want to have to go through that again. But if you do have a heart problem, something, don't blow it off like dummy me. Get yourself checked. Alex hopes the Nats beat the Yankees. Well, that goes without saying. But the Nats are doing great in the last 6 weeks or so. I mean, there's actually some hope now. They're like almost playing at a 600 clip the last 30 games. Good for them, man. It's good to see. They're going to extend the coach and GM as they should. And we're never getting Strasburg back or anything, but we're starting to see some young guys. Okay, Eric. Can't wait for the season to begin. There you go, Rick the True Snider. Yeah, I was the one that spelled my name right, unlike the other guy. James. It's James B. from Hickory. Oh, okay. Great game last night. I think it was the best preseason game I ever saw. Just because both teams really went at it. It went back and forth, went to the end. I don't think you can ask more than that. If that was a regular season game, we'd put that down on a list of something, great regular season games. And that the Commanders won, is showing some grit. They're 2-0. It's the first time they've had 2 preseason wins under Ron. Now, I know the stories because I've seen the stats. There have been winless teams win the Super Bowl, There have been undefeated preseason teams couldn't win jack. Matter of fact, Detroit, when they went 0-16, was 4-0 in the preseason. I know that. But I'm also a big believer in what Vince Lombardi said about winning isn't a sometimes thing, it's an only times thing, wherever it was. He said, um, because like in past 3 years for Ron, they win like one preseason game, then they start off 1-4 or 2-6. And you just felt like, man, I haven't felt like a win in forever. So at least you bank these, you get that feeling there, and it doesn't seem so dismal if they go off. Now they get up to a 1-4 start this year. I'll be talking to myself here on Monday nights, and there will be Monday nights after this, pretty much. Um, I just usually wait the day after a game. So probably next week be Monday, and we'll see. I might change once in a while. Okay, Matthew, if Chase and Montez both ball out this year, which guy do you pay? Montez. I'm not convinced that Chase really loves to play football, and so I would take Montez first. Alex, 2017 Browns are 4-0 preseason and 0-16. All right, it's another one. Yeah, I know it doesn't mean anything, and yet winning's never a bad thing to do. And to knock off an undefeated team like that was a little extra juice. I know that the team was pretty happy. The people in the stands were happy, so I'm not knocking it at all. I don't care. Was it the turf that caused Terry's injury, Antoinette? I don't know. I didn't see it. I have a lousy seat of games in the press box, so we're in a corner, but I didn't see that particular moment, so can't tell you. James P. misses Andy reading the videos. Well, Andy might be back soon enough. I mean, Santa was here a week or two ago, so we get guests that come in. My podcast with Matt, Seasons of Discontent, will be coming back soon as Matt feels like doing it. So we'll be back soon. Justin, am I the only one that's still kind of queasy on Sam? Yes, you are. You haven't been listening to me. I have, and I hate to do this, but I was the one who said on his rookie camp day, watch this guy. I liked a lot of what I saw day one. I haven't backed off it. Will he make mistakes? Yeah, he'll make mistakes, but who doesn't? So I think the point is settled. You saw his arm. You saw what he could do. They threw 20. He threw, what is he? Look at my stats here now. 19 of 25 for 188, 2 touchdowns, 123. But the team threw for 52. I did a video on this today. They threw 52 times yesterday. I thought this was supposed to be a run-first team Ron talked about back early in the offseason. So much for that. Alex, any thoughts on Joey Sly? Give him the Ravens the L-sign. God, I love Joey Sly. Yeah, the dude, he's not some shy kicker, man. He's ready to rock. I like that about him. Charles, ooh, this is a good one. Hover mails or B&J carry out for soft serve? Oh, Hover mails, man. Now I'm getting my pork barbecue at B&J's, which is in Accokeek, where I grew up in Maryland, just south of DC. And Hover mails is just south of the Beltway too in DC, and Silesia or Oxon Hill, whatever they're calling it now. Hover mails best soft ice cream. B&J's best pork barbecue. Alex, sometimes I go to both. I get the ice cream first coming home, and I stop and get a barbecue. Sue me. All right. James, X-ray on Terry's toe was negative, so that's good. True. It's not broken, so that's good. Turf toe is a nasty thing, though. Ask Dion. Poor Dion's had these surgeries, and he said it was related to his turf toe as a pro player. Oh man, so sad to see what's going on with Dion. He'll be okay. Dion will always be okay, but I don't wish that on anybody. FedEx isn't turf, by the way, says Matthew. Very good. Alex, Joey better do that in regular season. Well, yeah. I mean, Joey's been pretty good. He's missed a couple extra points, but overall in field goals, he's been pretty good, and his kickoffs are good. So I have no problem with Joey Sly. I like the dude. So, all right, what is it? 8:15. All right, let me do commercial time here for a minute. You always hear me say, hit the thanks button. Okay, so that's a $sign down below me. Because, listen, I've been working nonstop. It's nice to have people appreciate what we do. It helps support everything. So if you can hit the thanks button, $2, $5, $10, whatever, it's all appreciated. So I have to remind people. And most people watch the show for about 15 minutes. So I get new groups coming and going. all the time. And the other thing you see behind me where it says getthecommandpost.com, code Rick. And this is the Command Post, which is a 24-page tabloid. If you haven't seen it, it comes out a bunch of times a year, exclusively on it. I've written for this. It's had several names over the years. Warpath was the last one, and I've been writing for about 30 years. And yeah, quite frankly, it's one of the last few in the NFL, and you're kind of pushing the edge. The postage rates go up, everything print's going up, everything's going up, and we need help. We need people to subscribe. So if you love the Commanders, there's all kind of stuff in here on Commanders. We're being realistic too. It's not a cheerleader publication. If they stink, we say it. If they're good, we say it. And there's several other people writing for it besides me. Chris Russell writes for it. A couple of the old veteran writers around still do. So, we appreciate anybody trying to support us. So if you go to the website, getthecommandpost.com and use Rick, get it. And it does have a PDF version too, in case you want to just read on the email. Some of you I know are from overseas. I don't think we mail overseas. So we appreciate any help you can help us there and subscribe. All right. You can't even see Rick Snider's Washington. One of these days I should learn how to really do this. Okay. So let's see. What else? Does Ron step down and let EB take over? Asked Mojo. Mojo, you're about the millionth people to ask me that. And the answer, again, for the millionth time is no. Ron's not giving up this team. And even if he did, who's to say EB would be the next coach? I don't know that would be it. I like EB. I like EB personally on what he's talking about. He's old school. I have no problems with EB outside of I wish he wouldn't curse as much in front of kids. But other than that, so let's just try and, whatever my point was. This is what happens when you've been going nonstop for so many hours. Bob's here. Thank you, Bob, for coming. I do appreciate you stopping by. I know you've had a tough day with family. So we're all hoping Bob's family member is doing better. If you say a prayer out there, that would be great. Brandon, Victory Tuesday. That's right. What are my thoughts on running back room? Who stays and who goes? I don't think Jared Patterson makes it. Sorry. I like him. Look what he did last night, scoring that touchdown. Guy's a gamer. I like he's a baller. He's just kind of a small baller, but I think he's not quite there. You got two guys automatic with Robson and Gibson. And let me see. I don't have my chart with me. I'll have to get back to you on the rest of it. But, I think Rodriguez makes the team. That's 3. How many do they keep? Probably 4. So we'll see there. That was a bad answer. I'm sorry. I don't have my card in front of me. I can't think. Let me see. Let me look at one other thing here. Don't see Gore. Don't see Williams. So maybe it's even 3. See how the numbers go. All right. Is it 8:18? All right. We're already out of questions. Good. And a lot of you watching this on replay, just keep going. It's as many people watch on replay as watch live, because nobody ever knows what I'm up to. A lot of people in England. I have about 150 people who follow me from the UK, and I was like, it's the middle of the night. So when I got in late last night, I just tweeted out, hey, I know it's morning for you. So hi, we're on the same schedule for 5 minutes till I fall asleep. Thoughts on Brian Robinson in the passing game, Alex asked. They have tried a lot in the past year to get his hands together and make him a decent, option, and he's done well with it. He can catch the ball. It's just you got him here to run the ball. Okay, he'll take an occasional catch too, but you got Gibson. Now, can't always do the same thing. All the teams figure it out. But so that's why B-Rob can do it. But B-Rob's going to have the bulk of his carries. Sean, do I remember a more competitive preseason game? No, it's just saying earlier, that was the best preseason game I've ever seen. Usually they're so painfully boring. But everybody wanted to be part of this on both sides. That's what made it special. I really liked it. Hunter, is Jamin Davis any better? Yeah. He's got to go see a judge again over that driving charge next week. You always wonder what's going to happen there, because the judge, in case you didn't know, hear the story, Jamie Davis was caught and convicted of doing 114 and a 45, and they worked out a deal with the DA to do 8 days in jail, and the judge kicked it back a couple weeks ago and said, "I want more time." So, meaning probably 15. And when do you serve the 15? Obviously, as lawyers would say, "Can we do this in January, February?" And judge will probably say yes. But suppose the judge says no, then you got to go miss 2 games sitting in the clink. So I don't just doing 114 on a 45 road in the middle of the afternoon is a dangerous thing. Could kill himself, could kill somebody else. That's 114. It's one thing to do 60 in a 45, but 114, all it takes is a half second for somebody to die. So hopefully he learns. But that's got to be in his mind a little bit. I mean, it would be me. You know, I just want to go to jail and get my time served if I had to. But hopefully I never end up in jail. I'm too pretty for that. All right, Steve, thank you so much for kicking in. I do appreciate that. Steve's always one of our big regulars who watches the whole show. Not many people watch the whole show, not even me. But I do appreciate you kicking in. So everybody, see how simple it is? It's a few bucks. It's a few bucks to you. It adds up to a few bucks for me. I don't do this to get rich. I just kind of appreciate people valuing my time a little bit because I don't work for like the Washington Post anymore, layoffs. So I don't have somebody paying me big money to do this kind of show. I do this out of my own time. And for all the years, I am the longest running sports writer in DC at 45 years. And I don't know how many years I have left. So I still write for 1067 The Fan. You can read me there and Command Post. And, I do tour guiding. A lot of people who watch the show come on my tours, when they come into town for a game. So if you do, look me up for that. So I appreciate it. So I just appreciate people, showing something. You tip your waiter, well, they're different here. And if you can't even do that, if you can't do that, at least hit the thumbs up button for me so the algorithm thinks somebody likes me. If you can't do that, quite frankly, hit the X button up the top of the browser if you can't even do that for me. Ron, the post game live on the Commanders YouTube channel had the Redskins helmet in the intro for half a second. Oh, good eye. How do you feel about the Redskins name petitions? When something serious happens on it, I'll pay attention to it. Until then, I'm just going to let that run its course. I've spent way so much time on the name in the last 10 plus years. Let me know when we're ready to do something again. I can't spend all my time worrying about that. I want to worry about the team, not the stadium, because that's going to be a while too. Alex says, last thing, see another Henry Ruggs situation. I'm not familiar with that, unfortunately. Can't keep up with everything. So yeah, the name thing, I just have a lot to do. So wake me up when it's time to pay attention. I've been through this war for 10 years. So let somebody else take care of that. All right, 823. All right, so like I said, get to commandpost.com. If you want to read the paper, it's a nice little paper. You'll enjoy it. And hit that thumbs up button. Nobody has, so I guess you guys just are being mean to me. Thanks so much for that. I give you my time, and you can't even hit a thumbs up button. Sean, if Ravens tight end Mark Andrews really injured one of our DBs last week during a joint, is there any recourse, fines, or whatever? Well, the NFL could, but nothing's come out so far, and it's been a week. So I doubt the NFL does anything. NFL hasn't paid a lot of attention to these scrimmages that people are doing around the league. There's been a bunch of injuries, and it's practice, but it's also, competition between teams. And they probably, if somebody did something dirty and deserves, like he would in a game, then he deserves to be fined. I don't have any problem with that. I thought Washington maybe got the better of Baltimore. Baltimore's, a good outfit. So that was encouraging that Washington is hanging now with the big dogs. I think they have if they don't have injuries, I think they have a chance to be a decent team this year. Maybe grab a wild card. Yeah, and we'll see. All right. Not as many quizzical people today. I thought the stadium last night, the crowd was pretty good. I didn't hear any problems of things as far from fans saying, look at my seat or looking at this or that. So things seem to be doing okay. I noticed there's still a Johnny Rockets at the stadium. That was Dan's restaurant. So I don't know. Oh, here's something cool, but this is only something I would care about. So in the press box at halftime, you always can go eat a hot dog. There weren't any yesterday. There was salmon and crab ragoon and breaded pudding and all. I mean, it's like, and it was good. I mean, it wasn't like salmon left over from some other game. It was good. So thanks, Josh. And maybe things are getting better with the new owner that we get decent. I mean, one night we got bad food. It wasn't moldy or rotten or anything in the past. I'm just and the soda machine worked for the first time in about 3 years, I think. So man, we're getting big time treatment now. So that's nice. Oh, Henry Ruggs was the Raider guy. Okay, Alex told me. Yeah. Did he get sentenced yet? I know he was ready to hear it. You know. Sean, feels like if it was caught on camera as in a game, Andrew should be suspended. The NFL has the right to do it. Sometimes the NFL likes to close its eyes to things. I shouldn't say sometimes, many times they try to close their eyes to things. Washington Commanders, I guess not the team, but if somebody wants to be one, says the only sacks are because of how. Um, I think one of them was on the O line, but yes, I thought the O line did a good job overall. Yes, they faced reserves. No, I don't care because you play the man in front of you. Sean's, um, I did see the handshake between Harris and Buck. Who cares? You know, Josh isn't used to being in the media like that. I think. Who do I care? People made a big deal out of that. Who cares? LimeWire 3, thank you for throwing in a few bucks. I appreciate it. It's a video request idea. Ooh, okay. 2 minutes of all the items on my shelf. Well, that's my beautiful wife behind me. And that's the angel Gabriel, which I watch follows over me. And a couple beers there. That's the Big Jack beer. And then, of course, by Dan. Let's see. There's a picture of me. There's a ball hat of mine when I was a kid. I still have it. Played for Eugene Burroughs. There's a book I wrote. Washington Monument, U.S. Capitol, granted things. There's that I Love Sunny Billy bumper stickers up there. The rest of it's mostly books after that. Well, there we go, Abe Lincoln and John Wilkes Booth, who was a cousin on my mother's side, related to John Wilkes Booth, and Mary Surratt, cousin on my dad's side. So don't screw with me. Um, most of the rest is books and stuff. I guess I have to look at it. But thanks for asking. And the picture is the last game at Cole Fieldhouse, which I'm in there. I covered that game. All right, and I went to University of Maryland. I actually had classes. There were classrooms at the top of Cole Fieldhouse, believe it or not. No AC in the summer. Whew, man, it was brutal. Favorite FedEx Field memory? Boy, Alex, might have been last night. The years of it all, hard to say on it. I'm not good about looking back on things like that so much. James, I want to take my brother to DC. I like to book one of the tours. When's the best time to visit DC? I always say the fall, September, October. The weather's the best. So just, hit me up. Rick Snider's Washington on, or you can go to monumentalthoughts@gmail.com. Please don't email me with other stuff. If I say it out loud, don't send it to me without questions. I'm busy. Yeah, I can't answer everybody's questions all the time. If you have a question, you can do it on the YouTube page. I usually answer them there if I can. But if you want to go on tour, you can go to monumentalthoughts.com and see the page, and it has the tours. I usually cut people a break on the price who are watching. And monumentalthoughts@gmail.com is an email you can reach me at. Okay, so what's the Commanders? What's my opinion on people saying Forbes should start as CB2? I think he probably will. I think he's a good football player, and he's going to take some lumps because all rookie corners will. But I like his instincts. I like how he studies the game. I'd like to see him add a little weight, but other than that, so far so good on everything. Sean mentioned I liked Hal as early as rookie minicamp. You remember any rookies that jumped out to you from the past get-go? Yeah, Jordan Reed, man. First time I saw Jordan Reed, I was like, "Who's that?" And let's see, Fred Davis was another one I looked at and said, "Who's that?" And Fred Davis had a lot of potential on there. Gosh, I mean, oftentimes there's guys that I look at and go, you know, no. Then I see guys and think, that's just as much happens too. Cosme, I looked at and just said, not a tackle. Brandon Sheriff, quite frankly, not a tackle. Couldn't believe that they'd gone there. How clutch was Tressway to handle that bad snap from Cheeseman, or the final field goal was? Um, I'll have to look at that again to see how bad was it, Brandon. But Tress is a good holder on that. Tress is the best punter this team has ever had. I mean, I know we could go back to Sammy Ball, who had some amazing punts when the ball was very different than today. Um, and there's a lot of good punters. They've had a lot of good punters, Matt Turk or Mike Bragg, but Tress is it, you know. So and they like to have him as the holder. And some teams use the quarterback, but there's nothing wrong with using the punter. What, what do I think of Jared Patterson's chances of making the 53? Asked Russell. I think it's thin. He's so close, but I think probably not. It could be a practice squad guy again. James B. Mrs. Cole Fieldhouse. Me too. Love Cole Fieldhouse. Do I like which do I like better, Cole or Xfinity Center? I actually went back and covered the team as a beat writer for a couple of years after my heart problems, and I was in Xfinity Center. But didn't have the heart and soul. It was a nice building, nice modern building, had AC. Cole Field didn't. Whew. And yeah, most of the games were in the winter, so it wasn't so bad. But when I went to Maryland, I had to cut through Cole, get to classes every morning. In the winter, it was so cold, and the wind, you'd go through cold just to get out of the wind. So I spent many time there. Even had a summer class in there. That was not advisable either. But Cole was just a great place for this team. But they've made memories in the new place too, and had the national champion. Well, they didn't win it there; they were coming out of Cole, but they've had some great teams. Realistically, what's the timeline for deciding the location on a new stadium? Matthew asked. I don't think it'll be in the next year. I mean, already Maryland's governor's trying to make a move here. Wes was at the game. Was it the game yesterday? Yeah. Timeline goes. He seemed, this is a new governor. I voted for him. He seemed like a pretty decent businessman. Doesn't mean you'll be a good politician, but he's trying to not let this team just walk away. And there's still the Oxen Cove thing to consider. If RFK can't work out, I think RFK is options 1, 2, and 3, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So Maryland wants to be there just in case. And of course, the Virginia governor has been around too. Now I'm talking about the Virginia governor running for president. You see, interesting what his political realities are. I'm kind of glad we haven't gotten into the presidential race, because here in Washington we get overloaded with this stuff. I like it when the old presidential races used to really start in January and just did 1 year. So far, so good. It hasn't been that bad, on a daily level. I kind of like that. Just worry about it next year. All right. Sean said Jordan Reed was such an athlete. Yeah, I mean, he was. He was impressive. Let's see. James B., how do you feel when Maryland left the ACC? I absolutely hated the hell out of it. I still hate it. People that live in the Washington area, we all have family in the Carolinas or in the South. And so you can call your cousin up who's an NC State fan like mine is and say, kicked your butt. But now that they're in the Big Ten, I don't know anybody in Iowa. I have no family in Michigan. I have no connection to these schools. Now they even want to take on West Coast teams. I know that it's about money. What do I care about money? Because it's not my money. Nothing's changed. Tuition didn't go down at Maryland. That's all money they use to fund their own little fun projects. Money corrupts so much. And the ACC was just a great R thing. And we sold it for 30 pieces. So that's so much I hate it. And Rutgers, not a rival. All right, the traveling aliens in. Okay, any players look out for in that third game? Well, I was thinking Jake Fromm was going to play a lot of that game. He looked pretty good. I've watched Jake not have the greatest of training camps. He's been okay, but he makes a lot of mistakes. He's a young quarterback making mistakes. But I thought he looked awful good in the game. So maybe he's growing up. So I'd be looking for him. Maybe Quan Martin. I'd like to see some more of him. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays a bit. Um, the defensive end, Andre Jones, is it? Um, Names sometimes get me. The seventh round pick. I'd like to see more of him. Sorry. So, well, there's a few. Hunter lives in the middle of Duke and UNC. Oh, Hunter. Okay, would you live right on I-40? I mean, the two schools are about, I don't know, 20 some minutes apart. I covered the ACC in 2003 and '04 when I took a couple years away to get my heart fixed and try and take a breath in my life. So it's been a while now, but it's somewhat it isn't. I also covered the ACC in the '80s, so I enjoyed it. Uh, and going to Duke and Carolina, very different experiences. Duke's basketball gym is like the science building on the outside, very very small. It's like maybe 9,000 for a gym, maybe that's squeezing people in. Where Carolina's UNC's Chapel Hill's the Dean Dome is like 21,000, and they have a very smart basketball crowd there too. Very different. Each stop on Tobacco Road is a different experience, but they're all unique and cool. In Maryland, better be ready to cover your ears. Get to Maryland. Not that the other schools don't, but Maryland takes it to a new height. When my two daughters attended Maryland, I just said if you're behind me in a back, I used to have a courtside seats, working covering games, and I used to tell my daughters, if I hear anything coming out of your mouth like this, it ain't going to be good because it was awful. What the women would yell, women especially would yell some vulgar things. And I'm like, wow, your father would be embarrassed by this. And I told them their father would be embarrassed by that. They didn't do that. They knew better. 100 yeah, college basketball is everything there. Well, Maryland's not really a football school. It's nice when they have a good team, but it's a basketball school. And even then, it's been lesser in recent years. Like I said, when you don't have that Duke rivalry game every year, you don't have Carolina, those kind of things, it takes something to edge off of the program. All right, Matthew, if the name was still Redskins, do you think politicians would be receptive of building a new stadium in their state? Yes, I do. Because in the end of the day, it's worth it financially to them, and it's worth it to them in the polls. Notice there's several DC politicians fighting to try and be the one to say, I brought back the team, because they know it's a legacy. So they wouldn't they would have backed down. Okay. Yeah, poor James. He's right in the middle of Tobacco Road there. All right, Sean. Cole Turner really seems to be flashing. Yeah, I'm telling you, there was another guy last year I noticed quick and early, and he got hurt last year and only had 2 catches. So he's going to be something. Is Logan Thomas a surprise cut? I was thinking about this today. I could see them putting him on IR. I'm not just because they're saying it's a lingering issue, and you have other good players, and I could see them putting him on IR, and would you be lost? So I don't know if they cut him, but I could see something like that happening. Because if you ain't on the field, not on the field. Steve, I thought it was ridiculous when Coach K complained about the crowd at cursing him. Yeah, let me tell you something. Coach K knows a few of those words firsthand, too. When I talked about Eric Bieniemy and cursing, let me just say this. The worst cursers in sports among coaches are college basketball coaches, hands down. It's not even close. Maybe because they're arguing a call like every 20 seconds. They are the worst. And Krzyzewski, he knew some of those words. They always talk about Gary. Look at Gary. He's doing it. Krzyzewski doing the same thing. He just wasn't as demonstrative. And I thought Krzyzewski was a very good coach. From that perspective, watching him, I learned to respect that he was a very good coach. And if you asked his players who were gone for like 20 years what they thought of Coach K, you always heard very positive things, which to me means that he treated people the right way and helped a lot of people. And so did Gary, quite frankly. But people don't always appreciate what's going on there because it's not talked about. How many weddings that Gary went to of his former players? Yeah, they hated the guy. They wouldn't invite him to his wedding. Same thing with Krzyzewski. Clarence, I hate the media speaking in the Terry situation. We don't even pay attention to the Commanders. Well, I'm not quite sure what that means. As far as the team hasn't really said much about it yet, because last night was very preliminary. Sorry, sometimes we can't give you they can't give you information, and we can't give you medical information quickly because you need to have tests, you need to have things done before you really know. So better to not say something stupid and just not say anything. Timetable on Danny Johnson. Don't have not heard anything. Rotator cuffs. I strained mine once in my 30s. Rotator cuffs are the disease of 30-year-old men who think they're 18, and you pick up something like you used to and you strain your rotator cuff. Happens all the time to people, and it hurts. It's not, you don't want surgery on it. When I hurt mine, it wasn't torn, it was just strained. And the doctor told me, he said, hey, we can operate to nasty injury, take 6 months rehab, or you can leave it alone. It'll hurt like hell, and at 6 months, it'll be okay. I just you just dug through it. When you hurt your rotator, for those of you who haven't had it, think you take a knife and stick it in all the way in your arm. That's what it feels like. And you wake up in the middle of the night feeling it. It's a nasty injury. This could be a good year for Diami. Clarence, well, what would be a good year for him? 25, 30 catches? I think that's about all he can get. But, there's a lot. There's only one ball and a lot of hands out there. Joshua, thank you so much. I appreciate your words. Let's see what time is it. Okay, 8:41. So, all right, let's do commercial one more time because most of you are new people. Hit the thumbs up button if you can. That helps the algorithm. If nothing else, do that. If you would like to read a paper that's all on the Commanders, the Command Post, some of you have not seen it. As a tabloid, comes out a bunch of times a year. I've written for it for 30 years. It's all about the team. Other writers who cover the team also have written for it too. So if you go to getthecommandpost.com, use the code word Rick, you can get your copy today. Well, not today, but a couple of days from now. It's hard. We're about out of juice on this thing because hey, everything's going up, and everybody's watching everything for free on the internet now, and they don't want to buy it. People ask me, why don't I write a book about Dan Snider? Oh, I'd love to know this stuff about Dan Snider. I'll tell you exactly why I don't. Well, there's two reasons. One, I'm not spending the rest of my life with lawyers fighting about things that Dan wants to sue me over, so I'm not doing it. And number two, all of you would tweet out stuff on the good parts of the book, and nobody would ever buy it, and I wouldn't make any money. Simple as that. I am working on a new book about presidents and their favorite alcoholic drinks and where they drink and some special recipes of people and places that they would drink. And every president, whatever they drank, some of them didn't drink at all, a few of them, like our current one. If you like that, it might be out by the end of the year. That's my latest project I'm working on. I'm always working on something because I can't just sit on the couch and watch TV. My garden I often talk about online too. Got like 6 pumpkins turning orange now. Hoping to enter one in the county fair in a few weeks. Love to win something if I could win a ribbon. That'd be cool. My corn's all gone. We ate it. Sunflowers are hanging in there. I'm getting ready to switch the garden over to potatoes and carrots. Not that I particularly love carrots, but it's got to make something on the winter crops. And today I saw a young deer about 20 feet from my garden. And I said, okay, dude, before I would get mad, let's see if you go toward it. He was looking at it. Then he saw me looking at him, took off. But I have a fence around it, so he wouldn't get to it easy. Which presidents didn't drink? Well, Biden doesn't. Trump didn't. George W. was a drinker in his youth, but was sober as a president. After he turned 40, didn't drink again. And I think it was there's one more. I think it's Benjamin Harrison. But some of them during the temperance times would say they wouldn't, but they would. Abraham Lincoln, yes, Abraham Lincoln drank alcohol. Not regularly. If anybody needed a drink, it was Abe. Civil War, but yes, he did. James B likes the idea of the book. Good, because I'll be sitting there holding it up later, come December maybe, and hopefully I'm only going to make it $10. Make it something cheap and quick, easy read. Something like the 100 Things Redskins and Commanders books I did, like that. So something simple for me to write and you to read. So Josh was looking for good. All right, well, I'll sell 20 or 30 copies. Who knows? It's hard selling books. I've done 10. Some flew off the shelves and some flew in the trash. But as far as on this team anymore, I can't imagine I'd write another book on this team. I've been part of several. They got to win something again first. Sean, I felt like rookie running back Rodriguez became a starter due to injuries. He never get the job back. I like what I've seen. I mean, I like how I see him running on the outside like a freight train. He's not going to be easy to bring down. I like that about him. So, but we'll see. He did have the fumble. Ball guy says, "What's a book?" See, ball. That's you just proved my point there. It's this thing you put on a shelf and never read. People have all these bookshelves behind them, especially in the media. They have all these books behind them, and some of them have admitted they've never read any of those books. Somebody just put them up there to look good. Some people buy books they buy by the pound, literally buy books by the pound. They put them on these bookcases, especially commercial situations. Joshua was talking about cutbacks are clean on Rodriguez. Yeah, I think I like what I've seen. So he's going to make the team. And you never know about injuries. I mean, look at last year with Brian Robinson. He misses a bunch of games getting carjacked and shot. You don't see that coming. So you never know what's going to happen. So you got to have good depth. Great teams have good depth, or at least hopefully great depth. This team's depth is better than it used to be. But you can't keep them all. You can't, have everything you want. So we'll see. And Ash Reeve got me on that one. Good to see you. A lot of people, if you're coming in late, you can watch the whole show. Just go back to it after we go off the air around 9. Takes a couple minutes for YouTube to flip the script, and then it's there for you whenever you want. Steve, thank you so much for checking in. What's my favorite book besides the Bible? The Bible's a good book. I mean, it has lots of good stories. I don't know. I hate to not answer that because you put money up. I like the Tolkien books. I thought they were great. I like the Harry Potter books. I thought they were really great. It takes a lot to make people read a 700-page book. I'm reading one right now. Here it is. Hold on a second. There you go. Here's something fell over. I'm reading this one now called The Old Lion. Jeff Shar is a really good writer of a lot of Civil War stuff and all biographies. And it talks about Teddy Roosevelt, one of my favorite presidents. Might be my favorite president. Teddy Roosevelt was the man. And he had this great quote about the man in the arena deserves the credit, not the critic. And of course, I'm the critic in this situation. but I like Teddy. That's why I was always upset when the Nats would make Teddy a joke and have him lose the president's races all the time. Teddy, if we had to rank presidents, it's either George Washington or Abe Lincoln, 1 and 2. You can argue that. But I think Teddy could be 3. Some people would say FDR, but Teddy could be the 3rd greatest president. So why should he be a joke in the Nationals president's race? They finally quit doing that. And that's because I think they had a bunch of ignorant people who didn't know what they were talking about with Teddy. That's why it went on like it did. You want to get Buchanan or somebody if you're wanting a bad president. It's a joke. There's been I did rankings for a magazine story once on presidents, ranked them all, and I would say there were half dozen or so truly great presidents, maybe a dozen presidents who were good, very good. There were about a dozen presidents that stunk. And then there's about 2 dozen presidents in the middle that were didn't really do anything good or bad on there. And I'm not going to talk about the last guy and where he ranked. Teddy Roosevelt, as Steve said, he got shot, and then he gave a 50-minute speech before he went to the hospital and carried that bullet near his heart the rest of his life. But he was shot by a guy, and who thought Teddy had too much power. And what he didn't realize is it went through Teddy's steel glass case in his pocket, went through the glass case. Then it went through his 45-page script, I believe, that was doubled in his pocket. So that slowed it down too. Those 2 things kept him from dying on that. But Teddy's a cool guy. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Sean, previous chats, I said this team went 8 or 9. Any changes? Um, yeah, I'm a little more optimistic on 10 now than I was. I was thinking 8 or 9, maybe 10. So I might be willing to say 10, 10-7. So yeah, I mean, that quarterback looks good. So it doesn't hurt. But the schedule is the schedule. It's not going to be easy. They got to win the Arizona game. I mean, if they don't win the Arizona game, I think we all just shut this down. After that, they play at Denver. I think that's a very winnable game. You want to win that one. And then they play Buffalo. Okay, that's going to be a tough one. And they play Philly. Going to be a tough one. Then they play Chicago on a short week. They should win that. So 3-2 at least on your start is what you're looking for. Anything better, great. Anything worse, going to be a bigger hole. And it just, it's not easy. You got to play Dallas on Thanksgiving down there. They've lost more of those than they've won. Got to play San Francisco here on Christmas Eve. It probably helps Washington a little. Um, the holidays. Don't tell my wife they're playing on these days yet. I try not to tell her these things until later. Let's see. Okay, we got 10 minutes to go. So if you can hit the thanks button so that I keep doing this chat, because if I'm not making anything on it, then I know you don't really appreciate it or want to do it. So that's how it kind of works. I don't charge. I gave it some real thought about moving this to a paywall, and if only so many people did it, well, I still financially do better. And this is my job. This is how I make money. I don't have a big paycheck with a big company anymore. Got laid off 6 times in during 7 years, thanks and things like the pandemic. And so I hang out and I don't make a lot about it anymore. And if I make nothing, then you finally got to give up the gun, and ghost here, and move on. But that's why I hope that people were at least conscious of this and throw in a few bucks instead of just saying, yeah, let me listen to Rick for an hour and then not pay him anything for it every week. Yeah, that's a great deal for you. Sucks for me. I don't know if I'll keep doing it forever that way. It's the way it goes. You know. So it's kind of just a frank talk about it. I could go to the paywall system. Maybe I will. I don't know. But I don't have to. All right. So we got a few minutes to go. Last questions. If you throw in some money, you get a bell. So, Steve, that one's for you. And the other guy, I forget. That one's for you. So, if you want to hear the bell, I've hit it from the grandson lately. He hasn't been able to find it. So we'll go do that. We'll do any questions for the last few minutes, unless you guys are just ready to call it a day. And then, the 2-minute video there in the morning and evening, people stop me all the time. They ask me, they all go, "Can you give me 2 minutes?" I'm like, "You sound like my wife." Go, so that usually stops the conversation when I do that. My wife doesn't watch this, so I get away with murder on it. You're welcome, Steve. So we have, kind of quiet. I guess everybody's still tired from last night, huh? Nothing like a late night game get bed around 2 in the morning. That's why I don't like them. But the next one's 6 o'clock, so game will be over by 9ish. This game was actually pretty quick too, I thought. Yesterday, it moved quick, or maybe it was just interesting and felt that way. I did see the band yesterday in different uniforms. Ugh, didn't particularly love them. I do not like the song that they play after scores. Hail to DC, something. This woman screeching. Can't we just play even Hail to the Commanders, Hail Victory? I mean, or play nothing, whatever. But this screeching sound of Hail DC. Oh my God, you're going to kill me listening to this. It's awful. Stop it. Just stop it. I saw Major Tuddy lead everybody out of the tunnel yesterday. I thought, okay, still around. They'll catch up to him later. So they're still working on those little things like that. Nobody kneeled during the national anthem. I actually looked to see that. Whoever sang it did a really good job yesterday. We should. It's the nation's capital. Quite frankly, they had the small flag out. If I'm the owner of the team in the nation's capital, go invest in that big flag that goes from goal line to goal line. It's a 100-yarder. They bring it out once in a while. Go get that. I don't know what it costs, but hey, it's a $6 billion company. because this is the nation's capital. Do it right. Let's do it the best. Put that big flag out there on the field. Um, Sean said, How's shooting up draft boards? And I tried to tell you that on fantasy ball. Go get him quick. If you're playing fantasy ball, who else would I get on this? Cole Turner, maybe. Might be one. Antonio Gibson. I wouldn't mind getting him for your fantasy team. I think he can get some points. I'd take him over Robinson. Howe will be a cheaper alternative. And, I still think Howe's going to be like, I was thinking 18 touchdowns for the season, but maybe I go to 20 and maybe about 10 picks, maybe a 2-to-1 ratio this year. He's going to have his good day and bad days. It's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster. Steve said, let the band play the old song with no one singing. Well, I mean, the fans will sing, sure. Dotson outscores Terry. It says Sean would not be surprised by that. I mean, because he has a penchant for getting touchdowns. Terry does a lot more of the harder work in the middle of the field on drives. So I could see Dotson being that. All right, 4 minutes. Last questions and last chance to show me you're not being cheap. But I have a feeling we've decided that already, haven't we? So I'm going to keep that in mind. Like I said, I don't have to do this. You get a chance to talk to an insider. Somebody's on the field. I'll be on the field tomorrow morning. I'll have practice is at 1:15 tomorrow. So I'll have a video afterwards. See what it says. But Ron's going to talk before practice. So probably around 1 o'clock, we'll start hearing some news, something like that. Bieniemy talks after practice tomorrow. So you don't get guys to do this too much. I mean, John Keim does it now. Does a lot of X's and O's. He's very good at that kind of thing. So, Alex says he's in high school, can't give me any money. All right, well, what's in your lunchbox, man? You got any ho-hos? Any of that stuff? I tell you, I work for food. John, thank you so much. I do appreciate you chipping in on this. Andre Jones, Milo Eifler. What do I think? Ask Alonzo. Jones looks like a baller, and Eifler so far I've seen good things from. So both guys are still, I think, make the 53. Antoinette's still waiting for Matt and I'm waiting on Matt. So it's two of us. Yeah, it'll be soon. I think Matt wants to kind of wait until the season starts this year. Or it cools down because he has to sit in his garage to do the show. So we'll see. It'll be soon on there. And we're going to play it. We're still staying around 15. Oh, I do have a vegan pizza show coming up very soon, next few days. A friend of mine, Chuck's coming. We're going to film vegan. He's a big vegan. He's lost 300 pounds, so I respect this from the guy. He's going to show you vegan pizza. We're going to do the pizza shows like I do. And who knows how it'll turn out, but I'll give it a shot. I'm down 60 pounds from my worst. And I recently had to buy a new suit because I just could not fit in the old one anymore. And the salesman said to me, when's the wedding you got to go to or whatever? I said, no, I don't have a wedding or anything. He goes, funeral? I go, no. I just need a new suit. He goes, really? Nobody walks in here and doesn't need it now. So, well, I had some tip money from tours, so I spent it. Let's see, Sean, vegan pizza. You want your kind words back. Well, I mean, let's see what happens on the show. I mean, I've eaten with my friend Chuck before. Some of the stuff's not so bad. It tastes a little different than maybe what you're used to, but it's not bad. We did Thanksgiving once. It was just like your Thanksgiving, except no turkey. But all the other sides were kind of there. I don't know. Guys, got to be willing to try stuff once in a while. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Sometimes you don't. We tried Old Bay. There's goldfish, Old Bay. My grandson did it with me on the show. He hated it. I thought it was okay. Thought it would be even stronger. I had one of my young cousins brought her boyfriend to a crab feast that we were at, and I taught him how to crack open his first crabs. And I give him credit because, it's a little intimidating. And when we were all done, I said, what did you think? And he goes, well, it was good, but it wasn't worth all the effort. I laughed. I said, fair enough. That's kind of crabs. He goes, you're not very full. I said, if you're picking crabs and drinking beer, you're going to get drunk long before you get full. That's just how this is, So I give him credit for that. So I told my my young relatives. She picked a good guy. And then I'm going to harass them more. Other things. You can't have a mallet at crabs either. I do a video on that. You can't hit a crab with a mallet because the poor thing's already dead. Why are you beating it? So some people, man, they hit it like they're the judge and this is a guilty plea. I don't believe in that. But crabs are good this time of year. If you've been waiting to go, now's the time. I wish I could say Axe Shreve, AK Shreve. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. $2, I'll take it. How comfortable has Jack Del Rio been? He's been pretty quiet. I've seen him a couple times in pressers. Seems to be cool with things. His plays. He's got a good crew of players. So what's there to stress about? But he's been remarkably even keel. They let EB be the wild guy. I just thought that's funny because Jack used to be the wild guy, but we all calm down with age. You get to a certain point, you can't do it. All right, it's off Twitter. Yeah, Sean. Yeah. All right. I think we're about done. It's 9 o'clock. My 36 hours of football, wherever it is, we're done for the day, this day. But I'll be back every 6 o'clock in the morning. Of course, Saturday's a game. I'll file stuff after the game, too. Then we actually have a week off from the team, so I'll still be filing. I usually file 2 a day every day. I think I've missed 1 day in 2 years. So we always have something, but it's not always about football in the other days. All right, Steve, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. And we're out of here. I'm Rick Snider from Rick Snider's Washington. Thanks for coming. See you soon. Like tomorrow morning. And thanks to everybody for coming. And Antoinette, you too. Appreciate it. I feel like the end of Romper Room or say goodbye to everybody. But I do appreciate it. All right, everybody. See you later.